Well, now that New York has legalized recreational marijuana, what will it do for business?
In tonight's special report, 13 Wham's Andrew Banis traveled to Massachusetts to discover what lessons we can learn from our neighbor.
There is a place right on the other side of the New York state border, just past Albany. The scenery used to be the big reason people visited Pittsfield, Massachusetts, but now a lot are coming for this.
So right here, you're probably looking at 7.5 to 10 pounds of cannabis.
Nate Gerard owns Bloom Brothers, an adult-use cannabis dispensary. Run with his wife and two brothers, the dispensary employs 20 people. 5 years ago, when recreational use became legal in Massachusetts, Gerard was working in real estate.
2016 was a really strange time for us because we were kind of in this process of buying properties and developing properties. When it happened, my brothers and I had all kind of said, man, this could be a great opportunity. Should we be interested?
They took a chance and invested in the business, but it took years to cut through the red tape.
You do a lot of waiting. It's kind of like a hurry up and wait mechanism where you're hurrying. Oh, we finally got the building built. Now let's get the inspection. Then you submit for the inspection, you don't hear anything for 12 weeks, and you're kind of like, did they actually get my email? It can be very frustrating, but I think in hindsight, it's totally necessary.
In the end, it took over 2.5 years for Bloom Brothers to finally open their doors, but they think the wait was worth it.
We got one of the White Nightmare 1 grams, a chocolate banana 1 gram, jungle sweat 1 gram, and a cream meringue 1 grammer. All right, so we'll be at 78 today. Let me just grab that bag.
We've got a half an ounce of the cherry cookie shake, and we've got a gram of the citral flow sauce. $234 is going to be your total today. Have a great week, Margaret. Thank you.
With over 450 cannabis products, they bring in thousands of dollars daily, serving hundreds of customers a day, even some from our neck of the woods.
So the first customer I actually had today, Andrew, was from Rochester, believe it or not.
Across town, Temescal Wellness is another dispensary, but unlike Bloom Brothers, they were a medical dispensary first. Manager Megan Wendell Kane says that gave them an advantage.
I think it's definitely helpful to be aware of all the regulations. On the medical side, there are more regulations, so to become adult use and having the understanding of those compliance regulations, it does make it easier.
They too serve customers from New York.
I have a medical license in New York, but here it's you can get the buds and you get so much more for your money than you can in those small dispensaries in New York.
And Wenling Kane says there is growing excitement from the other side of the border.
We have a lot of people, a lot of customers that come here from New York and are like, New York's legal, and they're all excited about it, but they don't realize sometimes the longevity that can happen when it comes to opening up a dispensary.
Reporting in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, Andrew Banis, 13 Wham News.
And dispensary owners say if you want to open your own, on average, you're going to need at least $2 million.
And coming up tomorrow, we're going to hear from Pittsfield residents, the city employees as well, and the police there. So we'll look for Andrew's follow-up report. With the legalization of recreational marijuana in New York State, widespread changes could be coming to the Finger Lakes region.
In part 2 of his special report, Andrew Banis shares the lessons learned from his trip to Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
It's a small but proud city located a half hour past the New York state border. Just over 40,000 people call Pittsfield, Massachusetts home. Billy Jo D'Onofrio is one of them.
It's a really good town. They really try really hard.
She's lived here for 20 years. D'Onofrio remembers 2016 when recreational marijuana was legalized in the state.
I smoke myself, and I don't interfere with my life. I go to work every day, do what I need to do, and I just come home, just relax, and, and do, and smoke.
Since then, she's noticed a change, both with herself.
I don't have to be afraid to be like, oh my God, is it okay if I'm going to smoke this, or am I going to get in trouble? And I don't have to worry about that no more.
And with her city.
The money that they make, the state makes off of the cannabis is incredible.
Nate Joyner, the permit coordinator with City Hall, says helping the community was exactly the point for legalizing marijuana. There are 4 dispensaries in the city, and last year, just one of them alone helped bring in over $350,000 in tax revenue.
The funds are deposited into the city's general fund, so it eases the pressure on taxpayers, and it does allow more room in the budget to provide the services and infrastructure maintenance and other upkeep that the city needs.
But Joyner says there are lots of regulations that must be followed and hours of paperwork that must be approved.
Each project requires approval from 2 boards, one for site plan review and the other for a special permit.
Joyner says a city like Rochester should expect to get dozens of applications from businesses that want to start up. Sorting through to approve the right ones is key.
We're trying to be cautious and not just open the floodgates, so to speak.
Approving dispensaries slowly allows time to space them out, avoiding areas near schools or playgrounds.
These businesses are regulated in their appearance. They can't be displaying product, or product can't be displayed on any signage. So they do have kind of a generic, nondescript business look.
11 more dispensaries have also been greenlit to open, but Joyner says it will still take months or years until they do. In the meantime, law enforcement in the city is also continuing to adjust. Detective Mark Strout is a 26-year veteran of the Pittsfield Police Force.
I think everybody was nervous on what was going to happen, if they were going to see an explosion in drug use, and based on my experience, we haven't seen that.
Driving while intoxicated was among the biggest concerns.
We've had several accidents caused by that. So the one warning I would give is the enforcement of operating under the influence of drugs.
Strout says there has been some advantages, though. Legalizing marijuana has allowed his department to focus entirely on removing hard drugs like heroin or meth off the streets. He says looking back, the city may be better off because of the legalization of cannabis. His advice to his counterparts in New York: don't sweat it. Instead, make it work in your favor, focusing your resources on bigger issues.
I think it was much to do about nothing, to be quite honest with you. I found that throughout my career, criminals, they'll come up with a way to skirt the system, and the police department adapt to it, and then they move forward, and then we move forward, and I'm sure New York State they'll manage.
In Pittsfield, Andrew Banis, 13 WHAM News.
Now, Pittsfield currently has 2 full-time staff members dedicated to a marijuana task force.
They recommend our area consider establishing its own task force before building those marijuana dispensaries.